All right, guys, I'm going to say this straight. No warm up, no welcome back. Because, guys, this story doesn't need the fluff. So, guys, what's happening in the Minnesota right now is not really about one journalist versus another. It's about how different people define the truth when government money is involved. So, guys, Nick Shirley goes out, physically visits daycare centers that are supposed to be operating, funded by the taxpayer dollars, and what he shows on camera is emptiness, locked doors, quiet buildings, no kids, no activity. And his basic question is simple, guys. How are these places receiving millions if they don't look like functioning daycare centers? That's also a valid point. That video goes viral. Then CBS News, through reporter Jonna Kaplan, responds with what they call the context. And here is where the clash really begins. Kaplan's argument is essentially this. Yes, some of these centers had safety violations, cleanliness issues, paperwork problems, but that doesn't automatically mean the fraud. They are silenced, inspectors visited. Therefore, calling them fraudulent is irresponsible. So, guys, now let's just pause right here and explore this. This is one of the core disagreement. Shirley is arguing from what he sees on the ground. Kaplan is arguing from what exists on paper. And that's not a small difference, that's the entire story here. When Shirley fires back and says, "Why don't you go to a daycare yourself instead of yapping on this selfie mode?" That's not just a clapback, that's him accusing mainstream media of doing the desk journalism instead of field journalism. And frankly, that accusation is landing with a lot of people right now because the public is tired of being told, trust the system, when their own eyes tell them something feels off. So, guys, CBS News says most of these centers had the active licenses. Okay, we got that. But a license doesn't prove the daily operation. It doesn't prove kids are showing up. It doesn't prove services are being delivered. It proves paperwork passed at some point. And here is where this gets bigger than the Nick Shirley or CBS News. Minnesota has already been burned badly by the fraud scandals before. Feeding programs, non-profits, millions of dollars disappearing while oversight lagged behind. So when people hear, "Don't worry, inspectors didn't find the fraud," that reassurance doesn't hit like it used to. Trust has been spent. Even the state officials are being careful with their language. Notice what they are saying now. They are not saying there is absolutely no fraud. They are saying we haven't uncovered evidence yet and we take these concerns seriously. That's a bureaucratic code for something may be wrong, but we are not ready to say how wrong. And then comes the part that changes everything. The federal government steps in. Health and Human Services announces it's halting children childcare payments to Minnesota. Governments don't freeze the money for fun. They do it when the risk outweighs confidence. That move alone tells you Shirley's reporting triggered something real, whether people like this style or not. So, guys, let's be honest about what's actually being debated. This is not about whether a broken swing seat equals fraud. This is about whether inactive or barely active centers can legally and ethically keep collecting public funds. And this is about whether oversight relies too much on the forms instead of reality. And this is about whether journalists should trust the official statements more than their own cameras. There's a cultural layer nobody wants to talk about loud. Some commentators immediately frame criticism as scapegoating Somali communities. That's a serious charge and it deserves the care. But using that argument to shut down scrutiny entirely is dangerous. Fraud investigations are not anti immigrant by default, they are anti fraud. Mixing two things muddies the water and protects bad actors if they exist. So, guys, here is my personal take. Nick Shirley didn't convict anyone. He didn't read accounts. He didn't sentence people. He showed what he saw and asked the uncomfortable questions. That's journalism in its rawest form. CBS didn't lie either, but they focused on what can be verified through the official channels, not what looks wrong in the real life. That's institutional journalism. The problem is the public no longer believes those two approaches are equal. when paperwork says active, but reality looks empty. People side with the camera, not the clipboard. So, guys, now what happens next is predictable. More audits, more hearings, more media pieces trying to walk the line between the denial and concern, and probably more frozen funds until someone can confidently say where the money went and why. So, guys, this story doesn't end with a tweet or viral video. It ends with the bank records, attendance logs, and federal investigators asking questions nobody can dodge. And that's the real reason this hit a nerve. Because for once, a phone camera forced institutions to respond instead of the other way around. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and let me know your thoughts. What do you think on this? And we'll see you guys in the next video.